Wendy Diaz here for Latinx Studies and Religion, final presentation from New Muslim Cool to Leaders of the New School. Greetings and welcome to this presentation on the evolution of Gen X and Millennial Latino Muslim identities with a focus on the journey of Hamza Perez in the documentary film New Muslim Cool and his subsequent evolution into a prominent community leader. 15 years after the release of New Muslim Cool, I interviewed Hamza Perez to hear about where he is now in relation to his conversion to Islam and his growth in the Muslim community. His story serves as a microcosm of the broader experience of Gen X and millennial Latino Muslims in the United States. Through this presentation, I will provide a descriptive summary tracing Perez's path from his initial conversion to Islam, as documented on New Muslim Cool, to his emergence as a respected leader. Through his personal narrative, we'll explore the challenges, triumphs, and pivotal moments that have shaped his identity over the years. By examining his journey in the context of the broader demographic trends and historical developments, we'll gain valuable insights into the complex interplay between faith, culture, and societal dynamics. We will also focus on the religious dimensions of Hamza Perez's story and its relevance to contemporary issues facing Latino Muslims. Drawing upon scholarly commentary, we'll dissect Hamza Perez's evolution, highlighting the role of faith in shaping his approach to leadership, activism, and social engagement. By critically analyzing Perez's experience through a religious lens, we'll uncover deeper insights into the transformative power of Islam in navigating the complexities of identity, belonging, and purpose. Beyond the tropes of New Muslim Cool, we'll explore the broader themes of resilience, adaptation, spiritual growth that resonate deeply within the Latino Muslim community, and particularly from those in the Gen X and Y generations. Let's begin. From New Muslim Cool to Leaders of the New School, the evolution of Gen X and millennial Latino Muslim identities. For over 2 decades, the rising trend of Latin American converts to Islam has been a recurring topic in the news. Generation X and millennial Latinos converted to Islam in record numbers before, on, or shortly after what Harold Morales calls the 9/11 factor, when the media focused on Islam after the terrorist attacks that took place in the United States on September 11, 2001. Efforts to understand what drives Latinos to change their faith have produced much of the same, citing similar narratives of dissatisfaction with Catholic or Christian doctrines and chance encounters with Muslims who opened the door to an exploration of Islam. The groundbreaking documentary film New Muslim Cool, produced by PBS, debuted in 2009 and offered a glimpse into the lives of Hamza and Suleiman Perez, 2 Puerto Rican American brothers who embraced Islam in the late 90s. Since the film, little attention has been given to the evolution of Gen X and Y, or millennial, Latino Muslims, a group who, like Hamza Perez, have advanced from youth to influential community leaders. Cradling his newborn grandson in a recent Facebook post, the grinning Hamza Perez looks vastly different from his depiction as one of the infamous Mujahideen, or M-Team duo, performing revolutionary hip-hop vocals while wielding machetes on New Muslim Cool. He sports a gray pinstripe thobe, a burgundy velvet fez hat, and noticeable traces of henna color the tips of his salt and pepper beard. Although visibly more mature, his demeanor remains vibrant and youthful. In a recent interview, when asked how his life has evolved since the documentary, he said, "New Muslim Cool was released in about 2009, but we really started filming in 2004, so that's a 20-year stretch. A lot has changed." Indeed, plenty has changed for Latin American Muslims in the US, whose visibility has steadily increased since 9/11. A Pew Research Center demographic portrait of Muslim Americans from 2011 reported that 6% of US Muslims identified as Hispanic or Latino. In 2022, the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding conducted an American Muslim poll that found that 9% of approximately 3.5 million Muslims in the United States are Latino. That would put the current number of Latino Muslims in the US at approximately 315,000. As more Latinos convert or are born into Islam, Muslims who converted in the late 90s and early 2000s are aging into new roles. New Muslim Cool followed the Perez family as they settled in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and navigated the intersections of Puerto Rican urban culture and new Muslim identities. Over a period of 5 years during the film, Perez got married, had his third child with then wife Rafia, and the Light of Age or Northside Mosque, which he helped co found, was raided by the FBI. Perez has since divorced and remarried in 2011. And while he had 3 children in the film, he is now the father of a total of 11 children. And while he also recently became a grandfather from his eldest son, Ismail, who appears in New Muslim Cool as a child after he started a family of his own. Life has really come full circle for Perez 15 years following the release of New Muslim Cool. Shortly after the international success of the documentary, he stopped performing and left the music industry completely to focus more on his religious studies. His mother, who seemed to show concern and even disapproval for Perez's decision to abandon his Christian upbringing, actually converted to Islam, along with his father, his grandparents, and several other extended family. Perez traveled to West Africa to study Islam and received certifications in religious sciences and became an imam of the Jamaat of Shehu Danfodio in America. He attributes his personal growth to the study of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his life, teachings, manners, and character. Although the audience sees a dedicated Perez beginning to study and even teaching Islam to the inmates at his local prison in New Muslim Cool, he was still in the initial stages of conversion. Perez said that New Muslim Cool essentially is about me finding myself through the study of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Just as conversion is a process, so is the evolution of a Muslim on a continuous learning path. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is reported to have said that seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim. He encouraged his followers to learn and grow in their piety and religious knowledge. In Crescent Over Another Horizon, Jamil Martinez Vasquez mentioned Rambo and Farhadian's stages of religious change, constituted by 7 phases a convert undergoes during their transition process. And those are context, crisis, quest, encounter, interaction, commitment, and consequences. It is evident in New Muslim Cool that Perez grapples with some of these phases as he finds himself in his new position in the Muslim community. The first phase is context, and it begins when actual conversion takes place. In the case of Perez, he converted to Islam in 1998, 3 years before 9/11. The second conversion phase is called the crisis. During this period, the religious convert experiences displacement. In New Muslim Cool, Perez moves from Massachusetts to Pittsburgh, hoping to start a new life with his family in a new community. The post-9/11 atmosphere of suspicion presents a series of hurdles in his professional and spiritual growth. His career as an outspoken rapper and songwriter calling for revolution and rebellion haunts Perez as he begins working in the prison system as a chaplain. The third stage is the quest, characterized by the pursuit of meaning and crisis. Of meaning amid crisis, evident as Perez studies religion in the local mosque and attempts to distance himself from some of the contentious lyrics in his previous songs. These initial stages are portrayed in New Muslim Cool, but the audience is left with a half-hearted portrayal of the Latino convert experience. In 2010, Martinez Vasquez wrote that U.S. Latino Muslims constitute a group in its nascent stages. They are only beginning to construct their identities as both U.S. Latinos and Muslims. However, some researchers indicate that Latin American presence in Islamic centers has existed since the 1920s or 30s, with increasing conversion rates beginning in the 1960s. Academic writing about Latino Muslim evolution from conversion to formation is severely lacking. Morales noted that although not overtly villainizing, most news stories on Latino Muslims are nevertheless highly reductive. He compared it to Edward Said's criticism of biased media coverage of Islam, often focusing on depicting Islam as alien and Muslim life as backward. Media coverage and academia focus on the so-called phenomenon of new conversions, and ignore the presence of decades-old converts as well as second and third generation Latino Muslim families. Morales said, "There is so much more to Latino Muslims than conversion. Yet, this is the most dominant emphasis in news stories on Latino Muslims over and over again. The myopic focus on conversion is evident through a quick reading of news headlines. Ken Chitwood, a Christian theologian and ethnographer interested in the stories of Latin American Muslims and what he calls global Islam, noticed a similar pattern. He said the themes covered by the media remain largely the same. Typical articles begin with a hook about the comparative peculiarity of a Latino Muslim, often playing on superficial cultural tropes like eating tamales without pork. Building upon Morales and Chitwood's observations, it becomes evident that a more nuanced and analytical approach is necessary to study Latino Muslim identity formation. Converts like Perez and his family, who accepted Islam a few years prior to or after 9/11, have now been Muslim for over 2 decades. Yet rarely do they receive any attention from the news or academia on how their roles in the community, in their respective communities, have changed. For Gen X and Millennial converts, forging their identities constituted several stages of learning and adapting to new realities in the internet age. In an interview with Positively Pittsburgh, Perez mentioned that the Muslim experience for Americans, and especially for Latino Muslims, is a much different one than that of foreign born Muslims. However, he feels that he is more connected with Islamic identity than his culture now after having been Muslim for over a quarter of a century. Off screen, Perez experienced an encounter, the next step of the conversion process in Farhadian's stages of conversion, with an unnamed teacher whom he calls his sheikh, who educated him in religious knowledge. He subsequently went through an interaction phase or stage where he reconstructed his identity following his acquired teachings, leading him to the commitment stage. He eventually became an imam, and with this new role, the consequences were responsibility and accountability. Like Perez, U.S. Latino Muslims do not simply refocus their spirituality by transforming their daily activities, they also develop a reinterpretation of their own personal narrative. When asked about how he navigates his religious and cultural identities, Perez said, "I'm very respectful of my family's culture, and I teach certain aspects of it that are good, but I do not compromise on the aspects of it that are haram or Islamically prohibited and toxic. Islam is everything to me, and it is way more important to me than being Puerto Rican." Reflecting on the intersection of his Puerto Rican and Muslim identities, he cautions against prioritizing cultural heritage over Islamic principles. Emphasizing the supremacy of Islam in his life, Perez urges fellow Latino Muslims to uphold the teachings of Islam above all else. He advises not to compromise on religious beliefs for cultural acceptance and encourages embracing aspects of Latino culture that align with Islamic values. Referencing Quranic verses and the scholarly insights of Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, Perez stresses the dangers of placing cultural identity over devotion to Allah and His Messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Perhaps motivated by Latino Muslim resonance with Islamic Spain, he encourages studying works like the Shifa of Qadi Iyad, written by an Andalusian scholar, to deepen understanding of Islamic principles and prophetic manners. Perez envisions transformative potential if Latino Muslims leaders prioritize spiritual purification and sincere intentions, recognizing the need to keep egos in check constantly. By remaining mindful of these principles, Perez believes that Latino Muslims can contribute meaningfully to their communities while staying firmly grounded in their faith. Shortly after the release of New Muslim Cool, Perez was permanently barred from the jail in which he interacted with inmates as a Muslim chaplain. However, his outreach work did not end there. Perez's identity formation and trajectory are deeply intertwined with his commitment to youth programming and community development. Over 2 decades, Perez has been instrumental in pioneering initiatives to uplift children, particularly those from low-income neighborhoods in Pittsburgh. His work as the coordinator of Boot Up, or Building Our Own Technology Uplifting People, and establishing the Yane Youth Alliance for Networking and Empowerment at the Islamic Center of Pittsburgh, highlight his dedication to empowering youth through education and mentorship. His work, grounded in love and devotion, is highly regarded by the people of Pittsburgh, where he is known for his community leadership by both Muslims and non-Muslims. Perez's journey took a significant turn when he was offered an opportunity to lead program design efforts focused on manners for Boot Up, sponsored by Apple. This role provided him with a platform to integrate Islamic teachings on adab, or good manners or good character, into technology education and allowed him to explore the intersection of tech and spirituality. With support from Apple, including a substantial increase in salary and opportunities for advanced studies in ancient Ottoman etiquette in Turkey and Egypt, Perez has expanded his knowledge and growing influence in the tech industry and the Islamic community. Through his innovative approach to teaching character development in the context of technology, Perez continues to redefine the boundaries of leadership and community engagement, demonstrating the transformative potential of merging Islamic values with contemporary initiatives as cultural capital. Nevertheless, a non Muslim audience who comes across the New Muslim Cool documentary through streaming services like Amazon Prime, Tubi, and Canopy would never know about Perez's growth beyond the film. Even if a curious spectator scans the internet for more information on Perez, news articles, video clips, and academic papers focus mostly on his life in 2009. And the New Muslim Cool continues to be used as an educational tool in classrooms worldwide. A young Perez detached himself from the music industry completely after New Muslim Cool, citing concerns for his spirituality and his nefs, or inner self. Surprisingly, M-Team's controversial Clash of Civilizations album is still available on platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, Pandora, and iHeartRadio. However, the former member of the M-Team is far removed from the militant lyrics that critique America and Western values from 2005. Almost 25 years later, his primary focus is on community building, social welfare, and peaceful dialogue. In a recent Facebook post on April 14, 2024, Perez wrote, "Our community consists of 98% converts who have dedicated their lives to helping spread and teach Islam." Attached to his post was a crowdfunding drive for Masjid Anisa, the first ever built from the ground up mosque in Pittsburgh. The campaign page, organized by Perez's Light of the Age Mosque, includes testimony attesting to the importance of Masjid Anisa for the North Side neighborhood of Manchester, a home to many reverts or converts to Islam. Perez said, "Helping us to finish this kind of project in an African American neighborhood is a meaningful way to support the growth of faith and community in a historically underserved area. By contributing to the construction of this mosque, you will be helping create a safe space and inclusive space for Muslim converts to worship, learn, and come together as a community. Additionally, the mosque will serve as a hub for community events, outreach programs, and social services, fostering great understanding and unity among people of all faiths and backgrounds." A closer, unbiased exploration of the lives of Latino Muslims will reveal that they are indeed more than their conversion stories. A decade and a half after New Muslim Cool graced the screens, Perez has transitioned from a seemingly overzealous and admittedly ignorant youth to an indispensable leader and mentor to hundreds of fellow Muslims and non-Muslims, both Latino and non-Latino. The story of Hamza Perez reflects a broader trend within both the Gen X and Millennial Latino Muslim communities. Across these generations, numerous converts have emerged as influential figures, assuming roles as imams, educators, advocates, and social servants. Their collective efforts pave the way for the future as they actively engage with emerging Muslims through diverse avenues such as educational initiatives, mentorship programs, activism, and social services. Echoing the words of Morales, the new generation will read about the historical and cultural links between Latino ethnicity and Islamic religion from websites and social media and from journalists and scholars. They will be a new kind of Latino Muslim, one whose central narrative will lie beyond the scope of conversion. By leveraging their unique backgrounds and experiences, Gen X and Millennial Latin American leaders are shaping the present landscape and laying the groundwork for a vibrant and more inclusive American Muslim community. When we look at news stories and journal articles about Latino Muslims, we would think that Latino Muslims are the new kid on the block. But that is not necessarily the case. And we see that history has proven that Latino Muslims have been in the US for decades and maybe even for a century. So, as we conclude our presentation, let's reflect on the evolution of these Gen X and Millennial Latino Muslims, their identities, and the contributions of individuals like Hamza Perez. Their journeys offer insights into the resilience and dynamism of the Muslim community, as well as the importance of education, faith, and community engagement. Moving forward, we must continue to support and uplift the voices of those Gen X and Millennial Latino Muslims so that they can tell their own stories, recognizing their unique experiences and contributions to the fabric of America. Thank you for listening, and special thanks to Hamza Perez for allowing me to interview him for this presentation. His insights and his experiences have been very valuable, and I've learned a lot putting this together. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a great day.